Hello everybody, hope you guys are enjoying your day. Today we're going to be looking at Cristobal's move to the north. Now, some of these models actually have this gaining strength as it continues to move to the north. The National Hurricane Center also bringing this as a tropical storm as it starts to move over the USA-Canada border. So that will be very, very interesting. Currently, Cristobal is currently a tropical depression, but this could definitely strengthen as we get some help from a upper level low pressure system that's located north or into central Canada, north of where Cristobal is right now. As it starts to move eastward and joins up with Cristobal, this could definitely strengthen a little bit, and it could also intensify to maybe even a tropical storm again. So here is your current National Weather Service page to start off the video with. We have some red flag warnings for parts of California there, and then we also have for a large portion of the Southwest, including western Texas, Oklahoma, as well as southern Colorado, southern Utah, and much of northern and eastern parts of Arizona, as well as pretty much all of New Mexico there, and then we even have some high wind watches in effect for parts of central New Mexico, northeastern Colorado, northwestern parts of Kansas, and then also for southwestern parts of Nebraska, and then we have some high wind warnings in effect for parts of Kansas, Oklahoma, and Texas. There we have some wind advisories scattered throughout parts of the south central, the north central, and as well the southeastern United States. Now we also have some frost advisories for parts of northern Maine, and we have some winter weather advisories, freeze warnings, and frost advisories for parts of Wyoming, Montana, and Idaho. And then we have this large area of flood watches that are all related to Tropical Storm Cristobal, and we're going to be talking about Tropical Storm Cristobal in today's video. So here is what the National Hurricane Center is putting out. Now, they actually have this another area of highlighted concern here, and they have about a 10% chance within the next 2 days of this forming, and another 10% chance in the next 5 days of this forming. So it's not going to be very likely, but potentially we could see our fourth named storm. If not, we have another system that potentially sometime next week could develop in the eastern part of the Pacific. That would, of course, go under a Pacific name, so that would not be an Atlantic name, but still something to watch, and we definitely have a lot more activity still to come, so don't let your guard go down. We've already seen 3 storms, and it's only the 8th of June. It's only been 8 days into hurricane season. We had 2 preseason tropical storms and named storms, and now we have our third as we get into hurricane season, and now we potentially could see a fourth here. So here is what the where the low pressure system actually is. And right now it is actually into Arkansas. This is as of when they last checked it, which was a little while ago. So this should be updated, and it should be somewhere into southern Arkansas by now. Now, here is your track from the National Hurricane Center, and you see they actually have this moving through Arkansas, Missouri, through the border between Iowa and Illinois, and then through Wisconsin and the UP of Michigan, and then sometime between 7 a.m. Central Time on Wednesday and then 7 a.m. or 7 p.m. Central Time on Wednesday, they actually have this strengthening to a tropical storm here, and they keep it as a tropical storm as it heads over Hudson Bay and moves into eastern Canada. Now, to give you some perspective, polar bears actually live where near Hudson Bay, so this is actually very, very far to the north, and this is a very, very cold climate. It has started to warm up. Of course, it is getting into the summertime, even for them up that far to the north. But still, it is very or very unusual to see tropical storms that far north in Canada into central Canada. Those are some areas where it is in a very polar climate. So it is a very, very cold climate within those areas, and to see a tropical storm is definitely very, very unusual. Now they have one key message, and they'll probably add a couple more as it starts to head further to the north. But they say heavy rain associated with Cristobal will continue to push inland across the central Gulf Coast and into the lower Mississippi Valley today, then up the mid and upper Mississippi Valley tonight through Tuesday night. Flash flooding and new and renewed isolated significant river flooding is possible, especially where heavier rainfall occurs over portions of the Gulf Coast through the Mississippi Valley. Now, Here is your chances of seeing tropical storm force wind speeds, and they only have this out, I believe, 3 days. So this doesn't go until we get to where it potentially could go again to a tropical storm. But they do have about a 5 to 10 or even 20% chance of seeing tropical storm force winds, and that would be in Arkansas only. So not really even that big of a threat of seeing those tropical storm force wind speeds. Now, here's your past wind speeds, and you see over northern Mexico or southern parts of Mexico, you actually saw some of those tropical storm force wind speeds, and then also it moves through the central Gulf Coast and Gulf of Mexico, and then moved through the Gulf Coast, and you saw those tropical storm force wind speeds all the way from Louisiana to about Florida or so, and it was a lot stronger on its eastern side of the storm. Here is your current model guidance and what they are showing. So we're going to take a look at the main models. Now these are a collection of about 10 to 15 models, and these are what they show in terms of their storm tracks, and they're showing most of them pretty much the same track until it hits about Canada, and then they start to kind of dev a little bit away from the central center. So it is a little bit different as it gets to about 72 to maybe even 96 hours out. That's when they start to really deviate from the middle. Now, here's what the GEFS is showing, the GFS ensemble models, and this is actually the mean central pressure of these storms, and that's what the colors on these lines actually indicate. So the reds are actually indicating a 980 low pressure system or lower, and that would actually be a very, very strong low pressure system. So even if it does not attain tropical storm status, it is going to be a very, very strong storm, and it is very unusual to see these very, very strong storms that are this low in central pressure. So it is very, very interesting to see that. Now, you see most of them bringing pretty much the same track that the other models were showing, and then here's the GEPS, the Canadian ensemble models, and most of them again showing pretty much the same thing as both of those other collection of models are showing. Now here's what the model intensity guidance is and how strong these storms are bringing it. About half of them are showing it as a weak tropical storm, and then the other half is showing it just as a very, very strong tropical depression, if not a low end tropical storm. This isn't going to be too big of a deal, even if it does intensify to a tropical storm. It'll just be a very, very interesting thing to see that this did re strengthen into a tropical storm. Now, here is the European model and the European ensemble model, which is about 40 to 50 models combined together, and this is what percentage of them are actually showing tropical depression force wind speeds. Now this is 20 knot wind speeds, so that's about 30 or so miles per hour, and you're seeing we have a good area, a good swath that's under at least 90% chance, and that is going through straight through Wisconsin, Michigan, and then into parts of Canada there, with a very decent chance of seeing tropical depression. And then even for a tropical storm, you see as it heads over Wisconsin, the UP of Michigan, and into Canada, that's where you have that threat of about 70 to about 100 or 70 to about 95% chance of seeing these tropical storm force wind speeds throughout that area. So that would be definitely very, very interesting to see. Now, here is your rainfall from this event, and you see over to the west here, this is mainly just from thunderstorms. So what you really want to pay attention to is this big swath throughout the central United States, and you see they actually bring about 1 to 2 inches in the lighter greens, and then 2 to 4 inches in those darker greens there. Now, let's go on to the next frame here, and this is your chance of flash flooding, and we have a this is over the next 3 days, and then we'll show you the individual days. Now we have a 5% chance in that marginal or in that green area, a 10% chance in the slight area, 20% chance in that red area, and we don't have any areas that are in that high risk or 50% chance, but still a very decent chance over the central portion of the country, from about the UP of Michigan down to Louisiana, Mississippi, and Alabama, of seeing some flash flooding. Now, here's your individual days. Now, this is your day one outlook, and this would be for today into early tomorrow morning. And we have a moderate risk all the way from Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama through Arkansas and into parts of southern Missouri there, with a 20 to 50% chance of seeing flash flooding. Now, here is your day two outlook, and this would be for early Tuesday morning into early Wednesday morning. And you see we have a 5 to 10% chance in the marginal risk or the green area, and then a 10 to 20% chance in the slight risk or the yellow area that goes from the UP of Michigan to northern Missouri there. Now here's your day 3 excessive rainfall outlook, and we have a 5 to 10% chance in that lighter green throughout parts of Iowa, Minnesota, Wisconsin, and the UP of Michigan. Now, here's your severe weather risk, because we do actually have a severe weather risk with this. We have over parts of the northern plains. You could really just kind of excuse that, because that is from a different system, and that's actually the system that's going to be merging with Cristobal here. But that's a collection of severe weather that's over the northern United States. What you really want to be paying attention to if you're looking at Cristobal is this area further to the south. That's where Cristobal is, and that's the impacts that Cristobal is having. They're putting a marginal risk in that green and then a slight risk in that yellow. This would be for today. And now for your tornado risk, we have a 2% chance in the green, a 5% chance in that brown. So a decent chance out to see some tornadoes out of this. Now, here's your wind damage probability, and you have a 5% chance in that brown, and then we don't have any hail risk that is for the south central or the southeastern United States with Cristobal for today. Now here's for tomorrow, and this is going to be going from Tuesday into Wednesday early morning, and they're putting a marginal risk in that green and a slight risk in that yellow. And then here is your probabilities of seeing tornadoes touchdown. We have a 2% chance in that green and a 5% chance in that brown. Now here's your risk of wind damage, 5% chance in the brown, 15% chance in the yellow there. And then here is your risk of seeing some hail, and we have a 5% chance in that brown, 15% chance in the yellow there. Now that is going to wrap it up for today's video. Please consider liking the video, subscribing, and turning on notifications, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.